Well, I hope you took the time to call that number on your screen, 800-533-5827, or make your pledge to join us right here in Fontana at go to kvcr.org. But now we're going to get off the food for just a second, and learn about Tibby's Center Stage. With me now is Todd Vigiletti, who is the executive producer of Tibby's, right?
That's correct.
So, do they still call it dinner theater?
We do call it dinner theater. Nowadays, you have the option of not having dinner, but as you saw previously, the dinner here is great, so we suggest that you do. But it is dinner theater. Dinner theater had a stigma for a while. People were thinking of dinner theater as either the shows not being great or the food not being great. You have to choose between one or the other. But I think nowadays, in particular, especially here at Center Stage, we're really proud to have both entities working together at top quality.
And so when people come in, they can have dinner.
Yes.
And have the show, purchase that part, or they can just have the show. If they had dinner somewhere else, they could do that. They have
Definitely.
They have a choice.
They have options, and we have a full appetizer menu and a dessert menu and a full cocktail bar. So there's a lot of options. If they did have dinner someplace else first and they wanted to come and just have dessert and see the show, they're welcome to do that.
And do you have adult beverages?
We certainly do. We have a full bar.
Nice.
And a gregreat wine list too.
Oh, excellent. So tell me, it's a beautiful facility that we're in right now. But can you share some of the history? What was on this grounds before Tibby's?
Well, this was actually built as the Fontana Theater in 1936 by, at that time, one of the most popular and leading architects. His name was Carl Bowler. And when the Fontana Theater opened in 1936, it wasn't just a hub for Fontana, but people from Los Angeles actually drove out to this area, and of course you can imagine what the roads were like back then, so making a trip out here was a lot different than just hopping on the 10 freeway, and would come here to see movies and also experience what Fontana had to offer. There was actually right across the street a great little resort and retreat that people would go to, so this area, when it was building at that time, was kind of a vacation spot for a lot of people in Los Angeles. Actually, the very first film shown here was Gone with the Wind in its original release. Gone with the Wind was the first movie to premiere here at the theater.
So it was a movie theater?
It was originally a movie theater, that's correct, and was a movie theater until the 1950s.
And then what?
And then, well, it went through many different stages. The theater has been a Lions Club. Oh. It was a roller rink.
Really?
It was a tea room. It was a stationery store. And then it became a community theater, and it was at that time, it was a community theater for quite some time here in the city of Fontana. And in the mid-2000s, about 2005 or so, the city of Fontana actually purchased the theater back from the community theater organization, and that's when we got involved and began this renovation process.
And then through that, it's evolved into what it is today. And when did you become involved with it?
Basically, we were approached by the city of Fontana in about 2005, 2006 with the concept of wanting to take a historic theater and refurbish it and repurpose it. And initially, the concept wasn't necessarily dinner theater, and it actually wasn't necessarily the building that we're sitting in right now. There was a civic auditorium a little bit further south on Sierra, and that was the original plan. That building was much larger in size. But due to some of the issues with construction and the rehab required for that, they decided to take a look at this facility. And when we got involved, because of our history with having dinner and show, they thought it would be a unique opportunity to bring something like that into the area. So the original plan was to have it be an upscale theater. And if they thought, well, maybe we'll do some catering, you know, people maybe we'll have a bar, something like that. But after coming to see one of our other venues and experiencing the fact that we prepared food on premises, we had a chef and things of that nature, the city actually took the building adjacent to this theater and built the kitchen and the dressing rooms and everything else
Wow.
required to do a full dinner theater setting.
So you already had a background in doing this type of thing somewhere else here in Southern California?
Most definitely. I've been involved with dinner theater since 1985, and my wife and I purchased that dinner theater that we were part of at that time in 1994 is when we actually took over our first dinner theater.
Now, when you do dinner theater, do you do the behind the scenes, on the stage? Tell me your background then.
Well, my wife and I both were attendees at UCI, University of California, Irvine. She was a theater major. I was a music major. I was, when I was younger, I toured with a group called the Young Americans that traveled all over the world, and I got a lot of performance experience through them. And our background was music and theater. But because of the dinner theater aspect of things, and we used to be owned by the company that owned Reuben Steakhouse and Charlie Brown's and some of those, and the Red Onion, you know,
I do know
those restaurants.
Those sound like the 80s.
They were, they definitely were. It was the 80s. Well, I had to go through their restaurant training procedures and get certified in health and safety and sanitation and things like that, so we could learn the food service aspect of things. So I had a great opportunity to get that type of training in addition to the theatrical and performance training we had. So I, as I mentioned, toured with the Young Americans. Jennifer had performed all over in civic light opera houses and things of that nature, and we performed as a duo act all over the country in different clubs and for organizations and conventions and things of that nature. And when we took over the dinner theater at that time in Newport Beach, we kind of began slowly to expand into other theatrical venues and corporate entertainment and things of that nature. So here we are.
So you both had a background then in theater and
yes.
And so tell me about some of the productions that you put on here. I know there's been several. I love the musicals, but you do a lot of things. Tell me about the shows that go on.
Well, we're excited in that not only do our original Tibby's song and dance reviews, which are cruise ship style song and dance reviews that my wife and I actually write and direct and produce. They are similar to what you'd see in Las Vegas or on a cruise ship, but we also do full-scale Broadway musical productions. We've done Little Shop of Horrors, Five Guys Named Mo, A Chorus Line, just to name a few most recently. And we also bring in touring artists and acts from across the country. So we've had people like Alita Adams and Linda Eder here. Oh. We've had touring shows come through from Las Vegas. We've had great magic shows, great variety shows, great international dance concerts and things of that nature. So really a good variety, something for everybody. And
how big is the theater? How many people can you seat here? If people didn't know, just driving by on Sierra, that this little theater is even here, what can they expect inside?
Well, the great thing is we hold just a little under 200 guests for dinner and show, and it is basically like a theater that you would expect to see maybe in Las Vegas, but also something that's like a step back in time to the 1930s or 40s when the Coconut Grove was a popular club, you know, things of that nature. So it has that kind of Art Deco feel to it, but with current technology. We have the latest in sound and lighting technology to enhance all of our productions. So you get the past and the present kind of mixed together in a really neat way.
Well, we've talked about it. Now let's go and check it out. I'd love to see some of the place a little up close and personal.
Sure.
Okay. So Todd, give us a tour and let us see everything that Tibby's has to offer in this lovely facility.
Well, let's start because we're closest. This is kind of the nerve center of the theater, Command Central as we call it. This is where our audio engineer is during the show, our lighting technician. We have video and projection and an LED curtain in the theater, and so that's all controlled from back here. So sometimes it takes 4 people to run a show, but also because of today's automation, sometimes 2 people can be back there, but their hands are on multiple buttons and computers at the same time. So it is really where things happen in the theater. When the show's going on,
it's
a lot of people don't. Exactly. People don't realize what's going on behind the scenes a lot in a show, and it takes just as many people off stage as on stage very often.
Absolutely. And then you have so many different seating. You have your booth seating, your table seating, your down table seating.
Correct.
So many different opportunities.
So many options, yeah. So if it's party of 2, we can seat a party of 2. It's a family of 10, we can seat a family of 10. And when you call in, you can request specific seating. If there's a place, if you've been here before that you know you'd like to sit, The great thing about this space is no matter where you sit, because of the design, you can see the show. So we're at the rear of the theater right now, and we're only about 30 feet away from the stage, and we're elevated. So even with people sitting directly in front of you, there's just not a bad seat in the house.
I know I saw Forever Plaid, and I sat back here, and it was just perfect. I can't imagine that there is but you're right, there's no bad seat in the house.
There really is. And the great thing too is when we do our larger production shows, you're getting to see them in an intimate setting, unlike many other larger theaters that would put on a typical show.
So I want to talk about the color scheme and why you chose these brilliant, I love the reds and the purples, but everything. Tell me about that.
Well, we had a designer, an architectural firm called Bear Browers, who consulted on this project and did the actual architectural design and concept designs. And they were the company that last had redone the Grauman's Chinese Theater before this very recent renovation. So they had a lot of experience with historical theater venues. So really, they chose the color scheme. But I want to tell you something. These red fabrics here, that wasn't part of the original design. Those were our actual acoustic treatments to the walls. We had a sound engineer and sound designer come into the theater and really design these panels and tell us not only how big they are, where they should go, etc. So the architect then, his and designer's job was to figure out how do we camouflage this and not make it look like a recording studio with a bunch of egg crate foam all over the place.
And you did just that because it has the reds, the pinks, and the purples. I mean, obviously it's perfect for Valentine's, but it's very, to me, old school, old looking, and just lovely. It's just brilliant is what the colors are.
Well, everything from the carpet to the ceiling was part of an original design work, and the carpet is actually from London, England, of all places.
Because we didn't have anything like this in the United States?
I don't know why it's from London, England, but I can tell you when we did our first event here, the carpet didn't quite make the plane trip from England, and so we had to paint the floor for our very first event, and then the carpet came in the next week, and there you have it.
They must have been really serious about their color
scheme. Definitely.
Now, I want to go to this beautiful, beautiful curtain. In television, sometimes we call them Sykes. I don't know if they're called the same things in theater, but it is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, when you walk into the room and the curtains are down, it looks so rich and inviting.
It is what we call our main drape. It's an Austrian curtain, and it raises up and down. It doesn't split from side to side.
I love that.
And it was actually manufactured here in Southern California. So something not from England and actually not even from across the country, actually right here in Southern California. And it is motorized and automatic, and there's buttons in the booth and buttons backstage to be able to raise and lower the curtain as we need. And when you raise and lower a curtain, sometimes speed is a key factor. So the city of Fontana graciously made sure that we had a curtain that could actually raise in a quick amount of time as opposed to waiting for a minute and a half for it to come up. Yes.
And then the stage is, it's not a large stage, but it seems to work. Like I said, I saw Forever Plaid, and they kind of can play with the stairs and come down the stairs and play into the audience a little bit, I would imagine, on some of the other shows.
Definitely. Well, interestingly enough, when we first arrived here, the stage ended at the wall, because it was built as a movie theater initially. So there was no need for the stage to come out into the audience. So this is a thrust stage is what it's called. It comes beyond the proscenium. So this design happened after we came aboard and started the project. So originally the stage was even much smaller than that. And because the building was built in the 1930s, backstage there is very little room, and it's a solid brick wall back there. So we don't have a lot of room. So where do you
load in from? From the sides?
Well, from the sides and from the rear, and we build a lot of our sets in the theater because we can't fit them inside. But we have the advantage of a wonderful LED curtain, which allows us to have all sorts of different theatrical effects, which assist us in not needing to bring in large set pieces and things of that nature.
Well, it's just a beautiful, beautiful venue, and I hope more people watching today will see that it truly is a jewel of the Inland Empire. I just really love it because it's so intimate.
Thank you. That's the great thing. Whether there's, a party of 2, as I said before, a party of 10, you feel like you're in an intimate setting and you're right on top of the action and a part of what we're doing here.
And then this is your kind of your main lobby.
Yep, the check-in area. When the guests arrive, they check in with the hostess, and they turn in their tickets and they find out where they're being seated. And what we do is we have all the guests wait here in the lobby, and then we call them all in at the same time. So sometimes the entertainers seat them if it's a Tibby style show. If not, our very friendly service staff will seat them as well. And during our holiday show, we even come out here and do a couple of songs before we bring them in for the holidays.
Kind of warming them up, warming up the crowd.
Exactly.
Now, we don't have to go see the bathrooms, but I do want to say they're very clean,
Thank you.
very well lit, and there's a lot of stalls. There's not just one, you know, which women's lines like this,
Especially
and the men's
for
line
women.
is nothing.
My wife is a restroom enthusiast. I guess she probably won't be happy that I
she
said
takes
that.
She takes it even further than I do.
She was adamant about making sure that the restrooms here were very, very well put together and very exciting, very theatrical. When you walk in and see the tile work, it really is like walking into like a movie studio.
It's very nice. So then this last room, before we get back, is probably, other than the theater and eating, this would probably be my favorite room. This is where I would probably come up and order a glass of iced tea.
A glass of iced tea.
Yes, of course.
Maybe a Long Island
maybe
iced tea
a Long
or something
Island
like
iced
that.
tea,
Yeah, so
that's
this
right.
is our lobby bar. So when the guests come in, when they're waiting, they're welcome to have a cocktail
full
or a soft
bar.
drink, a glass of wine. Yep, anything you want, we'll make it here. We have great bartenders. And also during the show, of course, we begin table service at that time. So then the servers will bring you any beverage that you would like while you're sitting at your table watching the
Tibby's
show.
is a full place to go to be entertained for the entire evening. Your adult beverages, clean bathrooms, great theater, and good food. All right, this is your last chance to make your pledge to support Let's Dine Out on KVCR. Give us a call, 800-533-5827.